Hello everyone, what's your YouTube center? I'm Asisithi Sejosengoe and welcome back to my channel. Today, this video is so random. We're currently load shedding and I was thinking, oh my gosh, what can I do to kind of be productive with my time during this time, because I have a very faulty laptop. But anyway, so I just decided, let me actually just shoot a video on things that I think people should know about studying psychology when you want to study towards becoming a qualified psychologist. So if you are one of those people who have considered to one day study to become a counseling psychologist or any kind of psychologist, in fact, I think this video is for you. So I'm just going to be outlining what the program entails, how many years studying for psychology is, and the different categories that one can register as when they want to become a psychologist, obviously depending on their interest. But before I get into that, we are currently on a road to 300 subscribers. So if you have not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and share this video with all the students, or maybe the people in grade 11, grade 10 who have had this idea or desire of becoming a psychologist, so that they are well prepared with the information I'm about to provide. So please do that. So do not forget to like the video and share it, and leave your comment down below if there's something that I've left out that you would like to know, or if there's something that I've left out and it's supposed to be in there, so just kind of remind me. But anyway, so as I said, unprepared, random. Yeah, that's basically what that is. But anyway, so studying for psychology is in a total of 6 to 7 years, depending. So the first 3 years after you are accepted into university are your undergrad. Yes, so that's basically the foundational stages or foundational years where you are training or studying towards becoming a psychologist. And then so the first 3 years is your undergrad, and then after that, if you want to continue, you continue into your honors year. Honors is 1 year. So the process of applying for honors is quite different from applying for your undergraduate, because now you have to write a letter of motivation as part of your application process, where you motivate or basically just tell the people why you want to become a psychologist, what are some of your attributes, what are some of your strong points or weaknesses, and basically like a cover letter that tells the person who is reading your application who the person is applying, who you are basically as a person. And they take a number of people. I remember in my honors year there was 17 of us, if I'm not quite mistaken. So from the 300 people who apply for undergrad psychology, only that specific amount is taken into the honors year. And obviously not everyone who studies an undergrad degree in psychology wants to become a psychologist. Other people want to go into teaching, other people want to become early childhood development or anything. So today I'm focusing on the people who want to become registered psychologists eventually. So after you get accepted into honors, you study obviously for that 1 year, and then after that you apply for your master's. So this is where it gets really tricky, because the application to get into a master's program is very intense and it's very tough, because they hold interviews, and some universities hold these interviews over 2 to 3 days. And I think NMU actually, when I applied, it was just over 1 day, so I was only there for a day. So this process is very intense, because there's a panel, you get to be partnered up with people, they give you case studies where you have to show your psychological background, your psychological knowledge, how you would intervene in the process of helping these individuals or a couple or a family or a community of people based on whatever case study that you have been given. And also they look for things like what theory did you use, and what motivated you to choose that specific theory for that specific client. And if maybe there's an assessment that you have to do, like psychometric assessment, why did you choose that specific assessment, and is that assessment reliable, and does it really speak into the individuality of the client that you have been given. So it's very like really tough. So you have to know your thing even at that time. And the sad part is that universities, I think in South Africa, they take between 6 students and 8. Correct me if I'm wrong. In my class in 2017, there were only 8 of us. So out of the bulk of people, I would assume like 100+ people who applied to get into their master's program, they only pick those numbers. So you have to have something to offer, something different. They look into your experience. Where have you worked? What have you worked as? What community work have you done? How have you grown? And so your growth as a person has to be very evident in the way you present yourself, in the way that you even handle the case study that you have been provided. So I know that at University of Fort Hare, they did our interviews over 2 days. So the first day they did group activities. So it was when there must have been like plus minus 15 to 20 people that were there, where you get partnered up with like another person or a group so that you guys could start doing group activities. So within the group activities, what they did is that they gave you a case study and they wanted you to find ways to help this particular person, whether it was an individual, a couple, a family, or a community, whatever that they had given you, so that they could see how you go about in terms of providing psychological services or psychological help in your clients. So Fort Hare wasn't really focused on what type of theory you are using. I think what they wanted to really find out is that the depth of your psychological knowledge and application of your psychological knowledge. So whatever you choose, whether you're choosing an assessment, an assessment. So they needed to know, like, is this assessment that you're choosing applicable to this particular person or a group of people? So your psychometric knowledge had to be solid. And they're also just wanting to see your growth throughout the years, because obviously now you are stepping into your 5th year of studying towards becoming a registered psychologist. But anyway, so then that was day 1. So day 2 was the individual interviews, where they talked about who you are as a person, what are some of your attributes, what have you done in the past, who are you, what are some of your past traumas, have you healed, have you been to counseling, what is your experience in counseling, how would you explain psychology, why do you want to become a psychologist. So all of those things together, they obviously make up who you are, and then they either choose you or reject you based on all of those things. And obviously your academics as well, your academic strength speaks as part of the review on whether or not they accept into the program or not. And unfortunately, a lot of people get rejected in this part, like here. Either sometimes the reason for being rejected is go have more experience, go work a little bit more, or come back when you're at a certain age because they need maturity, because your master's level is very client-based focus. So you work with people. So if they feel like you are not either mature enough to be able to handle clients or work with clients without posing any danger or harm to the clients that are already seeking help because they've been either in danger or have been harmed, or they're just in a space where they need someone who's able to help them. So if they feel like you're not in that level yet, they ask you to go back and work or grow up and then come back and apply again. So that's that. And then after that, obviously you get accepted into the program. So the program for masters is 2 years. So in these 2 years, I've told you, I think I have, the first year is very coursework. So it's a lot of theoretical based, so where they strengthen the theoretical knowledge that you have already built up through the years of your undergrad as well as your honors. And then at the same time, they sort of introduce you to other ways of working with people, and introduce you to new theorists and new people in psychology, where you really just get updated into what has been happening in the last 4 to 5 years in psychology. And I think for me, what my first M1 did, it really solidified who I was as a person, who I was as a psychologist, and who I was going to be in the future. So it was a very fundamental year for my growth as well as for my becoming a psychologist. So you do see clients during M1 where you go to schools, communities, clinics, and you see individual clients as well. So your individual clients are specifically your other students from the university where you work in the counseling unit or psychology clinic where students are able to come, or student counseling. So different universities name it different ways. And yeah, so during M1, that's also where my love for psychometrics assessment or psychological assessment really grew, and I saw the value that they add in people's lives as well as the community at large. Yeah, so that was M1, and then after you've done your M1, now you have to apply again to do your internship here. So you could choose to do an internship in the university where you did your M1, or you could go somewhere else, because universities are very open to getting interns from all over the place. So during your internship here, that's where you finally get paid. You finally get paid a stipend, where the amount really does differ from university to university, so I'm not quite sure. So if you've done psychology before, comment down below in how much you were paid so that we can see. So yeah, you get paid, and your internship here is extremely intense again. So as you go, it gets more and more and more and more intense, and it's very, I think from my perspective, it's very hard for you to fail your internship here, because you have gone through so much, you have grown so much as a person. Your knowledge and your understanding for psychological approach, psychological theories, for psychology in general has really strengthened basically. So although sometimes where your director would see that there's certain areas where you haven't grown as a person, where they feel like there's an opportunity for you to grow in this area, so they might extend your internship here, where they ask you to either go attend counseling so that you have more experience being in the other chair, or they ask you to sort of repeat a month or 2 months continuing with seeing certain clients. And then in your internship year, you must see a number of teenagers, children, adults, couples, and families, so that you have experience in working with all different kinds of people and different kinds of people from different cultural backgrounds as well. It's also very important. So, and your internship here also includes you presenting clients that you're currently seeing, where you speak to a group of people, other psychologists and other students, where you present your client, how you're working with your client, or why you're working with your client that way, the theory that you chose to use with this particular client, how that theory applies to this particular client, your understanding of how this theory will help enable this particular client, or help them in terms of better helping them become better in terms of their well-being. And yeah, so this is the year where you really the bulk of your training goes into as a psychologist. And you continue with your community work, you continue going into schools, you continue seeing clients, children, adults, teenagers, and etc. So I think I've covered everything. So your internship here is basically work. So where you go into a 9 to 5, and you have a lunch break, and you have a director who you report to, you have weekly supervisions, and where you also communicate with your supervisor on a daily basis in terms of what you're doing, what you're thinking of doing, how you're working with the client, the difficulties you're experiencing those, and also just being aware of your own triggers. And during our internship year, even from first year masters, they really do encourage you to attend counseling, so that you have somebody or some place where you are able to offload all the stories and the burdens of helping other people cope with their own struggles and traumas, and just for your own healing, and also for your own growth as a psychologist. So that's what happens in your internship year. And then, oh, I forgot to mention that during your master's level, there's also a research component where you have to submit a dissertation, a mini dissertation, where you choose a specific topic where you want to do research in, and you do that and submit it at the end of master's or end of internship year. And sometimes it goes into the 7th year, like what happened to me, where it went on to the 7th year. So I've been at it now for about seven years. And yeah, so you can't really pass masters until you have submitted that research component as well. And honestly, for me, the research part of things was really difficult at the beginning, because I'd never done or written a thesis before, let alone even loved research. It was just not my strong point. So it was really difficult. But my supervisor and my supervisors were very helpful in helping me through the process. So whatever topic you choose, you must try and find a topic that interests you. It doesn't need to be like, they always warn us, like, don't try and change the world. It's a mini dissertation. So you must do something small, as long as you have a supervisor who is an expert in that field, who would be able to coach you through and supervise you through the whole process. And then at the end of your internship year, when you've submitted everything, when everything is all good to go, that's when you now register to write your board exam with the HPCSA. So this part of it now is where you study the ethics of psychology, and it's quite expensive to actually register to write the board exam. It's about 2,000 something rand, where you register to write as a counseling psychologist or clinical psychologist. So within psychology, there's 5 categories. There is research psychology, there is industrial psychology, counseling psychology, educational psychology, and clinical psychology. So obviously you choose one of these after your honors level. So when you choose the one that interests you most and that speaks to you most and resonates with you and what you want to register and work as for the rest of your life. So yeah, in wrapping up, so this whole thing takes about 6 to 7 years, again, in terms of recapping. And so if you're wanting to really study psychology or study towards becoming a psychologist, these are the things you need to review. Are you ready for 6 to 7 years of study, financially, emotionally, as well as just personally? Is psychology something that you really want to do? I always think that studying psychology has to be connected somehow to your purpose and your calling in life, because of how difficult it is, because of how exhausting it is. You need to have a very solid foundation of why you want to become a psychologist, because it will really throw you off if you're just going in because everybody is becoming a psychologist, or you really don't have a solid reason as to why. So I think it's quite important for you to ask yourself this question: why do I want to become a psychologist? And build that foundation up, and it will help you throughout the years of studying to become a psychologist, and it will help you keep you encouraged and motivated, because again, as I've said, it's a very difficult process. So yeah, I think that's it. So if I've left anything out, please do not shy away from commenting down below and let me know. And if maybe you are from a different university and things are done differently in your university, please share with us. And you find it in a different country and things are done differently that side, please share with us. Otherwise, that is all from me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.